Good morning. Good morning. Listen, happy Tuesday. I want to say this word of encouragement to somebody, right? I'll jump straight to it. For those of you, you feel like there's just been a heavy bombardment, of evil, of warfare. You just been able to just feel, it feels like things are just um, a lot of warfare. You're able to see it, right? And it feels like it may feel heavy, like an increase of warfare, but I want you to look at it from this perspective. And this is what came to my spirit this morning as I was praying on something. you know um See, many of us have made the choice to walk with God. We love God. Jesus said, when I come, um in the word of God, it says when he comes, he come to bring division, right? And I shared this in a video the other day, of how I said, Lord, how could you bring division? He said, when I come, I'll come to bring division. There'll be mother against mother, mother against daughter, daughter against mother, father against son. Basically, there will be a divide. And like I said, I've shared this a while back because I used to question God. If you're a God of love, peace, joy, how could you be the one to come to bring division? It's not that he's coming to bring division. God is love, right? For God so loved the world, he gave his only begotten son. And in the first commandment, love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, all thy soul, all thy mind. And the second is like unto it, love thy neighbor as thyself. Okay? So I want you to be cognizant of this thing. Jesus is the dividing factor. And if you feel like there's been a resurgence or a heaviness of warfare, especially within the household enemies. And what I mean by that is when the scripture says a man's enemies of his household, is talking about family, those who are most familiar with you. Why? Because the devil can have the greatest impact at breaking our souls, at keeping us trapped in the pain or trauma within our souls, because those who your heart is already unraveled to. Remember, guard your heart with everything, because everything we do, guard your heart, because everything we do flow from it, right? And so if your heart is already open to the ones that you love, and they know the most about you, and they're the ones that, there is no guards, or there haven't been any guards put in place around that, because you so much love them. And sometimes you can love people and want to see the best in people, but they're not doing their internal work. You want Jesus. You love Jesus. You've made it in your mind to walk the path of righteousness and to continuously studying, and you will change. When God convicts you, when you know that something is displeasing to the Father, you will change your behavior. You will change the way you live in this earth. Why? Because you don't want to live in a way that's contrary, that's displeasing to the Father. So your soul, you will make your soul pure. You won't be promiscuous. You won't live a promiscuous life. And if you may have lived a promiscuous life growing up, you won't continue to live a promiscuous life in your late age. Why? Because that doesn't show the sign that you are disciplined and have adopted the ways of God. When we love something, anybody can say, I love God just like you love God, or I love God. But when we truly love something, you do right by it. That's just like a woman getting married or a man getting married. When you get married and you love your spouse, you're not going to let outside people come in and have a say so and know everything that's going on within your household, within your marriage. You're going to guard your spouse, and your spouse is going to guard you, and you're going to love each other. And there may be some things about your character that she doesn't like or he doesn't like, and over time you can communicate with each other and make each other better. But because you love each other, you're willing to change. And it's the same thing with our Father. When you love God, you don't live the way that you want to live and continue to, pick up demonic energy. People can feel when that demonic energy is attached to your soul. You ever had somebody toxic come around you and they saying they're supposed to be of God and love God, but it's just it's a stint. Sometimes your head, you might even get dizzy. Those of you who are sensitive in the spirit, your sensitivity is also a blessing, and don't let nobody make you feel bad for that. Most of you who are empathetic, you've been called sensitive, all of that, you're able to distinguish between the spirits even before you knew what spiritual warfare was, or there is a gift. Distinguishing between the spirits is a gift, and so we grow in those things, right? And so before I go too far off into living and how we're living, but when we love God, we do right. I want to go back to my point. You know, when you feel that warfare and think is like it's something that's getting heavy, it's not really that the enemy is gaining a greater foothold. What's happening is we're elevating. See, what was hidden before, what we didn't have words to understand before, what we didn't have knowledge about before, we're gaining knowledge now. This is how God perfects his people. This is how God qualifies those whom he's chosen, because you don't have all the answers. And a lot of times you don't have nobody to hold your hand and say, okay, let me teach you this first step. Let me teach you the second step. You're out here living life for real, having experiences and seeking to understand what you see and feel and hear and behind all of the natural. And sometimes it can be scary, baby, in the beginning, because you feel like you're all alone. Or who can I talk to about these things? So they're going to think I'm crazy, because everybody don't have eyes to see. Life is spiritual. But keep living your normal life, and you have to guard yourself. You're able to see now what was once hidden. You're able to put the pieces together. You're able to even understand that those who are in that place of just living on the surface and not really choosing God for real, not really walking with him for real, not really doing their own internal work. And we ain't gonna be perfect. We're striving for perfection, but you know those who the enemy has been using to oppose you, to tug at your heart, to try and break your heart, to whisper about you in secret, to try to sabotage you, to try to make you look like you are them. And it's a very crazy situation, especially when you have folk dear to your heart that you may have been trying to protect. You may have not even told your full story of things that you've experienced because of the love in your heart for folk. But I want you to know that God is setting you free. I want you to know that what you see is really not even about you. It's about God perfecting those gifts on the inside of you. You're stronger than the evil that you see. You're stronger than the evil that's opposing you. Don't even try to go, whoever the enemy uses to try and go behind you and sabotage your name and keep trying to destroy anything that they feel like will be a support system for you, because that is his purpose. He thinks that he can isolate you, but really it's God. What the enemy meant for harm, God is using for your good, because that is how we also build stronger relationship with the Father when we are placed in wildernesses. You understand? And oftentimes you can be out and then all of a sudden you can seem like you're going back into a wilderness, right? It's just God protecting you. He will protect you in plain sight, right in front of your adversaries, of those who's trying to destroy you. And what you'll notice is you'll keep being blessed. You'll keep being prosperous. No matter what they do, your level of independence will even increase. God will put you in a place where you will not have to rely on. If you may have to rely on those, right, who were trying to hurt you, who become angry at you, the more you seem to grow in Christ and try to do the right thing and stay on the straight and narrow path, the more they seem to start to despising you. When they can't control you, when they can't get you to say yes to everything that they want, and you learn how to say no, and you're sticking to certain boundaries, even though if you may struggle with your boundaries a little bit, but you're starting to really, really see, I don't have to tolerate this. I can put up boundaries and I can say no. I can safeguard and protect the peace of my own atmosphere. It's not wrong for me to do that. When you start realizing you don't have to tolerate a lot of the toxicity that people have wanted to forcefully bring into your life, that's when you notice the enemy will start to use people to try to sabotage you. They try to go and make you look like a bad person. They try to go and act like they're being friendly towards you. And another thing, sometimes people can act like they're saying positive things or bragging on your name, but they constantly do it in front of people to make people irritated with hearing all of the great things that you're doing. It's like they constantly throw your name out behind your back, but it's not for a good reason. It's really to try to make people annoyed and agitated with you, because they know some of those people may be envious or jealous or don't really like you anyway, right? It's all a craft plan of the enemy. But like I said, whatever your situation and circumstance is, when you sit back, get your feet, don't allow yourself to become paranoid. But when you sit back and you take a step back and you look at the situation, that evil is not overcoming you. You're leveling up with your spiritual eyes. You're able to clearly see now what you couldn't see before. You're seeing how the enemy is using whoever he's using, and why and how some people are even in agreement with those demonic forces. They don't care, because sometimes you can be bold enough to actually talk to them and bring it to their attention. Oh, I see. This is how you've been operating, and this is what spirit I see behind that. God doesn't call us, blah, 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 however you communicate. And sometimes people will get angry. They will get angry with you for even pointing out, and that's the spirit working behind them. You got to learn to love from a distance sometimes and pray. Pray. Never ever stop praying against the forces of darkness that you see behind the individual you see them, right? Never stop praying and binding up those forces. And sometimes you have to separate yourself, right? And it's okay to do that. You don't have to pick up the phone every time certain people call you when you know they're only being used by the devil to pull your countenance down. They're only being used by the devil to monitor your life, keep a track on you. Every least little thing you say, they're calling to try to agitate you, irritate you, and then go back and gossip to people that they feel like, they want to cut off all folks who could have been a support system to you. That's demonic behavior. That's demonic behavior, especially if it's coming from a parent, right? But the warfare ain't really getting that much heavy. What's happening is the enemy is constantly jumping from place to place. And a lot of times when you begin to see this thing, like I said, it's God opening our spiritual eyes. We're able to see what we couldn't see before. We're elevating. We're growing spiritually. And those who really don't understand spiritual warfare don't look to tell your story and explain yourself to everybody. Sometimes that's where the loneliness may come in, because it's like you may see something and you're thinking, I know I'm not crazy. I know I can. Sometimes you discern something. Sometimes your flesh, you may feel it in your flesh where your hairs you may get goosebumps, or the hairs on your arm may stand up, or your heart may start racing really fast, or you may feel shortness of breath, or you may get a cold chill. When you are of the light, you don't move with the dark. Oftentimes I know this one person who the enemy has really been trying to use to make me feel rejected and unloved and hated. Which I pray for this individual, and I also bind up those spirits whenever I see them, trying to contact me through that individual, right? But this one individual, he always moves with the night. He always does weird things in the nighttime, and even would try to always reach out to me in the nighttime. It's not even normal, and I'll shut it down. I made it known I don't want to be contacted after the sun goes down. And some of you may understand what I'm trying to say, right? You may understand why, if you can pay attention to the differences. Those are the times I usually get up and pray in the midnight hour and stuff, because evil begins to surface when the sun goes down. I noticed that. And I'm at my happiest place as well when the light, when the sun begins to rise. We are children of the light. So when it's darkness, we don't really move in the dark, and it's a pattern where I see it's a difference, where some spirits are comfortable with the darkness, moving in the darkness, and some spirits are not. Children of the light aren't really comfortable moving with the darkness, but a lot of people, it's like they can't get rest until they do something wicked before they go to bed, and it starts at night. And so I had to shut this individual down about contacting me, in the late hours like that. And I noticed once they broke that boundary, they did it again. And so I had to put up another reinforcement to where I just ended up blocking, where this individual could not contact me for many years. And then they finally reached out when they had changed a number or something, right? But still yet, there are other boundaries you can put in place if folk don't want to respect the boundaries that you have. You have a right to be respected, and it's not disrespectful. Sometimes when you're trying to hold certain people accountable, they will try to use this thing as disrespectful. That's just to shut you down because they don't want to be held accountable. And sometimes when the person, sometimes you can be protecting a person for a very long time, trying to feel like it's your place to protect someone who seems like they've always made themselves to be the victim. They've always been the one who's done wrong, and maybe they have experienced some things, but because they chose to never do that, never work on themselves and never grow, but they just wanted to, stay in a stuck place because that's the choices they made. When you realize that this individual is not really growing and trying to grow, and they're only trying to prophesy also and keep you in the same place that they're in, and that's not where you want to be in. And so when you begin to try to disconnect and break that spiritual cord, that spiritual connection, sometimes that very individual now can begin to try to turn you into a scapegoat. And the same thing that they've been telling you about others, they can be going telling others now and painting you in that same light and trying to control the minds of those who may be gullible and don't really have eyes to see. And then you can cut that whole, anybody who's connected to them, you got to cut them off. Why? Because the enemy will continuously fight you through them. So it's all about learning how to put up strong boundaries at this point. Learning how to put up strong boundaries, sticking with them, and staying in the Word of God. The enemy don't have no more power than God has already given him, and his powers is weak because people's masks are falling off and you're able to see it. You can see what the average person don't see, especially those of you who are empathetic and you're very sensitive. Sometimes people have tried to make you out and make you look like you were crazy. They try not to understand you, or sometimes people will say, oh, you're so sensitive, and they make you think something wrong with you, so you try to keep your mouth shut sometimes about things that maybe hurt you or what people do, because you don't want to look like you're so sensitive, or you look like you crying about everything. Or sometimes even when you are emotional, people say, oh, stop crying, be tough and all that, do all of this. But really, that's you being in touch with your feelings. I always say this, empaths are connected to the heart of God, and your sensitivity is actually a blessing, not a curse. And you need to pay attention to it, because oftentimes you can pick up on things like that. Sometimes you're not going to want to know. You're going to get tired of it. Be like, why do I always have to know stuff? I remember I had my aunt told me when I was a child, she said, you are a blessed child. She said, I remember I was in college and I went to her office. I think we were having like fish and grits or something. I used to always buy fish and grits. And she said, you have sharp discernment, because I was so heavy. I was so depressed. And I could just talk to her about a lot of things that I was experiencing that I see. And I remember one of my professors, who also was the dean, she had this very snobby attitude. She was very beautiful on the outside, a very pretty woman, but her inside, her heart was just so nasty. She didn't have a heart of love, and she had an evil eye on me, and I really didn't know her, but I could see sometimes. I caught her one time like gossiping with one of the other students who was her sorority sister, about me. And when I walked in, and they nudged each other, and then they would snicker about me, and I thought that was so unprofessional for a dean and also a professor to be snickering about a student. And so she didn't really make things easy for me to understand, like how she made it for others. But I would talk to my aunt about these things a lot. And she says, you have a great gift of discernment. And I didn't understand what discernment was at that time, but she used to explain a lot of stuff to me. And she would say, God just shows you a lot. And she said, that's not always an easy gift to carry. But she said, you got to know that God show you these things. He really favors you. She would always say that. And then her sister, my other aunt, sometimes would tell me, she always would say when I was growing up, you are a blessed child. And I was like, well, in my mind, I used to say, why? She always said, I don't feel blessed, because I didn't. I never felt blessed. All I experienced growing up was pain, I've always felt pain growing up. I never really felt loved. And so I didn't understand why they would say I'm blessed, And so anyway, back to what I'm saying, our God is growing us spiritually, and that's what he does. See, he doesn't call. You hear people say this all the time, he don't call to qualify, he qualifies whom he call. And so some of you may think, God ain't trying to use me. Or if you feel like you have a certain gift, you're not going to talk about it, or you be like, no, because I'm just a normal little person. You're perfect for God. See, he uses you in your purity, in your innocence. He sees your heart, just like he saw little old David. And that's why a lot of times, even when you go through a lot of opposition and you're hated without a cause, if you look at your life, that's what I said yesterday. When the enemy tries to bring all kind of negative things to our minds and make you remember all the things people have said to you, said about you, and he tries to just bring all of that pain back to your mind. When you fought to overcome that. Think about all the positive things. Think about all of your achievements. Think about everything good that God has done for you in spite of what the enemy has tried to do. And it makes you feel better, because when you're hated, God will bless you. I did a video a while back about Leah. I said, I think the title of the video is when you are hated, God will favor you. He saw how Leah was hated. Her own father was selfish. He had no love for his children. He had no love for his daughters at that. He was only about himself. He was about selfish gain. And so he sold Leah off when she didn't even know the man didn't even want her. But that was to benefit him. And so some of you who may have felt like you dealt with rejection from your parents, or from any pain that you may have gone through in life, God will favor you. You got to cry out to him. Leah wanted to have a child, and God gave her a son that loved her, and so all she wanted was to feel love, and God gave her that through her having her own child. Life is spiritual. I know there's some people in life, they're so caught up on the natural outer stuff, but you that are empaths and you that are also walk in the spirit, the Bible says, he that is spiritual judges all things and is judged by no man. There are going to be some people who think that, they're in a position to teach and lead in a certain way, and maybe they may be gifted to do what they're doing, but they don't always look for how can I say it, people who are in certain positions to understand you. Sometimes they may be the ones that misunderstand you, intentionally oppose you the most, because you have a gift that they just don't have. You have something inside of you that's really special. Life is truly spiritual. And when you really understand that and you walk in that and not be unapologetic about it, about the gifts that you have, about the things that you can see, and begin to talk more to God about them, explore more, and don't become afraid to speak on that. People may call you crazy. They may talk about you, but you'll be able to connect with those that God wants you to connect with. You'll be able to encourage your brothers and sisters just by shining your light and walking in those gifts. There are going to be some people that try to pull you back to the natural things of the world. Why you ain't married yet? Why you ain't got kids yet? Why you ain't doing this shit? It's bigger than that. It's bigger than that. It's not about those things, It's not about that. And don't get me wrong. If God has a partner for you, they'll find you. They'll find you. And especially if you're a woman, it's not your place to go out and seek. It's your place just to be a wife. Be yourself. Walk in your purity. Explore, put your hands to learning different things, multiplying the little that God has already given you. Don't get so caught up with the world standards of, by this time you should have this, by this time. No, walk in the spirit. Live your natural, authentic life. And as you continue to learn and grow, sometimes you may not even desire, your desire for marriage or certain things that other people desire, it may change, and so don't let nobody push you into a certain, make you feel bad about if you're single, because sometimes when you walk with these gifts, you need to be paired with somebody that can handle that, right? And you need somebody that can see you, not just from the natural perspective, but from the spiritual perspective, and somebody who's able to protect you, not just physically, but spiritually. And when you got somebody that can pray with you and that can help you see things, and sometimes they're dreaming things and they're seeing things, that's to be a powerful duo, you see. But if that don't come from God, don't force it. And don't let nobody force themselves on you, because a lot of times what people do too, you'll notice a lot of people, it's not hard. It's not hard to be in a relationship. It's not hard to get married if that's what you really wanted, because you'll see people just sometimes will try to throw themselves on you. You know, you get people tell you, God told me to tell you that you were going to be my wife. Or how you know God ain't sent me? I could be the one right now. But their whole communications is off. Their whole perspective, you can even sometimes feel it's only a fleshly thing that they really desire. Sometimes you can feel lust on them, you know. And so people sometimes may even take you for granted, or take your kindness for weakness if you're somebody who's really grown in your gifts, and you're not want to just constantly run. Because in the beginning, sometimes when you see certain things, it make you want to run from everybody. But as you grow and mature in your gifts, you can be normal. You can know when to let your joy just shine. And sometimes people may see you being normal out here having a good time, and they may take that for weakness and think they can slide up on you. See, not knowing that you're a power packing force in the spirit. See, life is spiritual. And then sometimes people who think they're so intellectual and so smarter than everybody, they try to study you. And sometimes they do it from afar, and when they can't figure you out, sometimes they try to label you. They can't figure you out. They start working against you, or they see you growing or talking about certain things. They feel you ain't qualified to talk about that. God will use you in so many different ways, baby. God will use you in so many different ways. Don't let people pull you into the natural. Stay in the word of God. Stay above. Don't let people pull you into the flesh. It's all spiritual. The devil want to keep pulling at us and tugging at our hearts, you know. He want to keep pulling at the heartstring. The Bible says in the last days, his job is to wear out the saints, right? And so when you know that and you see certain battles, every battle don't need our attention. Everything that rises up against us don't always need our attention. Sometimes we could just give it to God. You know, a lot of times we could just give it to God. Just give it to him. Talk to him about everything. And he who sits high and looks low, he gonna always keep favoring you. But understand, if you feel like that warfare been getting heavy, if you feel like, you know, it's just, man, one battle after the next, the attacks keep coming. You know, I told you the other day, the attacks keep coming because the enemy, he wants to attack our resilience, our tenacity, our faith, our confidence in the Lord. That's what it's all about, to break that. Why? Because we're shining very brightly. And some of you may not think you shining, baby, but just you showing up what's in your spirit. You shining. David didn't think he was shining. He wasn't focusing on himself being big up or nothing. He just knew I had this courage. I could defeat this giant. Saul was trying to help him at first. He'll take my equipment. David said, no, I don't need all that. I just use this little slingshot. See, he had the heart. He ain't focusing on, oh, once I defeat him, people gonna honor me, people gonna praise me. He ain't even thinking about that. See what I'm saying? He ain't been trying to draw no attention to himself. He just was like, I'll fight him. You know, he gonna stand up for his people. That's all. He's willing to stand up for the challenge. He had no fear in him. And once he did that, and all them people saw what he did and start praising him, they start recognizing him. You see, he wasn't looking for none of that. But see, Saul saw that and got angry. You see, David wasn't trying to big himself up. God saw David's heart, just like God sees the heart of many of us. And it's a constant, as you walk your walk, you ain't walking your walk perfect. You walk in your walk, your natural, authentic self. And you may make some mistakes along the way. As David grew up from a boy to a man, didn't he make some mistakes? He fell to the lust of his flesh. You know, God had to correct him. That didn't take away his heart posture after God. But that lust had his perfect way in him. Made him set a man up. Took his wife. See what I'm saying? So it's a constant battle, and God had to correct them. And so when we learn what took them down, we are supposed to let that be a lamp to our feet. Lust won't take me down. See? Because lust can come at any time. And it does come. It works with the flesh. But when you let the spirit gain ascendancy over the flesh, lust can't have its perfect way. But you got to stay on guard. Because sometimes you don't know how people may present themselves, or how people may come. And the devil will deliberately send people to try to trip you up. Oh, it's a constant thing of being watchful. That's all. See? And if God sent a purpose partner in your life, you will know a purpose partner. You will know them, especially after all you've been through. After all you've been through, the right people, you will know it'll feel different. How do I know that? Well, because when I encounter the right people out in the earth, when you get out and start meeting people too, you'll encounter, you get out and start practicing more of paying attention, being intentional, cognizant of paying attention to what you're feeling and how you're being discerning spirits. And you'll begin to see, you'll begin to see. And you'll have some people that just cling to you. I got an elder, two of my elders. They call me just about every day. They don't call, they text every day or every other day. Not 48 hours go by. And this is going on for over about a year or so now with these two ones. A lot of elders cling to me. I've always been growing up. I always say my soul is probably about 80 or 90. My flesh is younger than that, But I've always had older friends, I've always had older people that just like to talk to me. Sometimes they'll tell me, oh, I like talking to you. I told you, I shared a while back, my 80-year-old cousin, we went to her birthday party. That's the one that told me when I went to visit her prior to her party. And she was like, I like talking to you. You talk, I like having a conversation with you. That's you talk my kind of talk. And I said, well, dang. She's 80 years old now, It's just something about the soul, I believe, And I still have my childlike nature. Sometimes I could be a big kid, and I don't feel bad about it. I kind of stay away from those who turn up their faces for me when I'm operating in my joy and my childlike nature and just, having a joyful moment. When I feel the energy of people just turning up their nose at me or just showing a disdain for my innocent fun, I stay away from those kind. I do, and I have a right to, right? I love to laugh. Laughter is so good for the soul. It's helped me my whole life, I see now. And I can be a very jokey person at times, but then there are times when I can be very serious and I'm not playing and I'm not in a mood to, play because it's not that time. It's just sometimes I'm in these, I go through these phases and I'm not in a jokey mood. But for the most part, I do have a very a good sense of humor a lot, right? But anyway, I wanted to share that. So be strong, and I hope this message encouraged you. I know I just be talking and be all over the place. I don't never have nothing written down because it's, it just flows from the spirit. But I hope this message was able to encourage you, even though I may have jumped and talked about different little things or whatever. The whole the point that I wanted to make and I wanted to share is that it's not that the enemy is winning or becoming victorious over God's people. It's that your spiritual gifts are heightening or increasing. We're growing. We grow from glory to glory, from level to level. And so we're growing, right? And just take your time and keep living one day at a time. That's all. Living one day at a time. As he renews our strength day by day, continue to just get up. Father, how can I be of service to you today? How can you use me today, God? How can I let my light shine even brighter today than I did yesterday? And you just pray. You have the power, Luke 10:19. So whatever's opposing you, whatever spirit the enemy is using, if it's sabotage, if it's betrayal, if it's rejection, bind up those things. Your latter days will be better than the former, right? You go through a process, and when we make connections in our life, the right connections, we want to be healed. We don't want to be broken. We want to be able to listen and learn and have good conversations and not become so easily triggered and bleed on people that didn't even cut us. Not saying that we won't have moments, but the right people will understand you, and you'll be able to be in a place where you can give and also receive, because the right people won't just extract, they'll also pour back into you, right? And if you're connecting or anybody wants you connected with them and it just seems like they're constantly extracting and they're not really pouring back into you, or people just want to hear and know everything that's going on with you, and you notice they're always so guarded, they're not sharing anything about really themselves. You got to be careful with people like that too. You know, destiny thieves are very real. But anyway, no weapon formed against us shall prosper. It hasn't prospered this far, right? You're going through some valleys. You experience some pains. You know, respect that people are who they are. They've made their choice, just like we're making our choice to follow the Lord, to walk uprightly. We ain't trying to destroy nobody. We don't have no hidden motives to bring nobody down. We don't need to secretly watch anybody and strategize about how to be better than them or overcome them. None of that stuff really matters. It's all vanity, you know. What truly matters is what's in the heart, and keeping the heart posture in the right place, right? Matthew 5:8 says, blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall, not might, they shall see Christ. That's a promise. It didn't say blessed are the perfect. It says blessed are the pure in heart, because they shall see Christ. Here I am, signed, sealed, delivered, I'm yours. See, keep that heart pure. Keep that heart pure. That's a promise, baby. So anyway, have a blessed Tuesday. You're growing. You're elevating. What was once hidden, you know, what you couldn't see before, you're able to see now. That's a blessing. Sometimes it can feel like a curse, because it's like, why do I see this and it brings you pain? But what if you didn't know? What if the hand of the enemy wasn't uncovered? What if you couldn't distinguish those spirits that were coming around, causing your body to causing death to your body, and so that you could get them away from you? See, what if you just sat in darkness the whole time, and the ones that what was fighting you kept coming into your atmosphere until they prematurely ended your life? Thank God your eyes are open. Being sensitive is your gift. Empathetic. You are beautiful people. Those with not good intentions, users, liars, schemers, manipulators, well, they know how to pull on the heartstrings of the empathetic. Because see, even if they got to do things to manipulate you and make like they so sad and going through something, they know some of those things pull on our heartstring. But see, when God opens your eye to the truth and what's going on spiritually, they can't really pull on your heartstrings like that. See, you know how to set up safeguards around you, and you know that it's okay. And regardless of what they say about you, the trap is getting you to chase behind folk trying to defend yourself. Don't do that. Don't chase behind nobody trying to defend yourself who are committed to misunderstanding you. That's another trap, to frustrate you and pull your conscience down. The main culprit, the one that's really trying to work against you, when God fully allows you to separate, or you move away and change all your numbers, and nobody knows how to pull up to your house, don't know how to pull up on you, and you then move away, they gonna look like the fool. Because the blessing that was there to help them, they didn't appreciate it, because they let the evil within them drive off that blessing. You see? And don't you double back. Don't circle back no blocks. If that's how God leads you, you know? God wants us to be happy. He wants our life to be peaceful. It's only those who are unhealed that walks in and out of your life without any boundaries being placed up, that has had access to do that pull your confidence up and break your confidence down. When you learn how to put up them boundaries, you put a stop to all that. Then you just got to learn how to ignore the gaslighting. Stay away from conversations, circular conversations where they try to pull you back in and coerce you into believing that you were the problem the entire time. Look back over the facts. Even in the court of law, facts are what really matter. Were you really the problem? Or were you the one who helped? Were you the one who gave tirelessly and never received back what you gave? Were you the one who always trying to protect other people's feelings? Always putting yourself last and putting everybody else first? Always going here when they say go here, go there when they say go there, do this when they say do that? Now them chains is broken. Them strongholds is broken. God ain't meant for you to stay in no cage, baby, and be unloved. He loves us. Sometimes God puts you in a place. He birthed you into a place to help that place. See? Joseph saw the dream. He saw his purpose, but he ain't know that was his purpose. If he would have known, if he would have been a little bit more mature, maybe he wouldn't have shared it. I don't know. We don't have enough knowledge yet. We ain't come upon enough stories. All we know is what we have so far, what's been written. He shared it prematurely, and the revelation I got. That's the revelation I got out of his ignorance. He didn't know what he was sharing. I saw your stars and I saw this, and yours made obeisance to mine. See, his father kind of figured it out. His father favored him. But even he felt some type of way when he heard them dreams and stuff. But he favored his little boy. And when them brothers heard them saying them dreams, they become despising them. Hateful. Getting angry with them. No love in their heart. See? No love in their heart for this little boy that did nothing wrong to them except they knew of the favor. But see, what they meant for harm, God used it for good. Some of you, you won't never go. You won't never move nowhere. You feel like you got to stay in the same vicinity. You know, you can't break away. Even if you put up boundaries, you stand in the same place. And so God had to constantly just, you find yourself, I know it's time for me to work on this thing or do that thing, but you constantly want to stay in the same place. You want to stay there when really God is calling you to uproot and move on to a whole nother land. Pray about it. And sometimes the only thing that can push you on is the pain, right? Once that pain get higher than the love, a lot of times that'll cause you to move on. Especially women. Sometimes when you go through something, women be in a relationship, marriage, and they keep doing things to hurt you. Once you go silent, once a woman goes silent on you, baby, I'm telling you, that's all she wrote. Why? Especially if she didn't give you a chance and forgave you. Because what's happening now is when that silence, I'm going to give you the secret, fellas. See, that silence means that love that she had for you, the pain that you put her in, it done outgrew. The pain has outgrown the love. So what has happened is she now become numb. You can do whatever you want to do because in her mind, now she realized I got to go into survival mode. I got to protect myself because this individual who I've trusted with my heart, I trusted them not to break it. I trusted them to protect me, and they didn't. And so the love I have for them, she may still love you, meaning she ain't going to try to poison you and kill you, because she could if she want to. Right? She got a pure heart. But that pain that you done put her in, it done reach up here. See, that love was here. But that pain, boom. It ain't met the love yet, the love here. The pain, you did something, boom. Pain, betrayal, not protecting her, not paying attention to her feelings, not protecting her emotions, not trying to reason or understand nothing. Always want to fight, always want to curse her with your mouth. Always this, always that. See, the love, you causing more pain than the love. So that it ain't no love in the household. See? It may be something in her heart for you. She ain't gonna do nothing to try to hurt your image, bring you down. She goes silent on you. Why? Because she trusted you. She opened herself up to you just a little bit. Then you earn her heart. Now you got a heart and you didn't do right by it. See? And so for those of you that God may be trying to move, many of us, he may be telling us to move. Anybody God been tugging at your heart to move for the longest, but you're still not sure, well, where am I going to go? Where do you want me to go? You know, well, what if so-and-so need me? What's so-and-so doing now? Ain't so-and-so the one causing you the most pain? Ain't so-and-so the one who keep taking your emotions up and down? Ain't so-and-so the one coming to you with all this, dumping so much, breaking your spirit? Ain't so-and-so the one that don't never listen to you, understand you? Put yourself first, baby. Listen to what God is trying to do. Listen to where he's trying to lead you. And it takes time sometimes because you're unsure. And the devil will try to confuse us. And sometimes you may make the wrong decision if you move swiftly. That's why I always say I'd rather be 20 steps behind God than ever jump ahead of him. I'd rather be slow but sure, baby. Because if I don't know and I'm confused, I'm going to sit right still. I'm going to sit in it. I ain't going to move. Because God, you know. Moses even asked for clarity. Give me a sign. And it takes time sometimes. But when you're anxious for something, you be quick to go and run ahead of God. And some people even lying on God with what we see now today. Liars getting exposed, lying on God. God tired of all that lying on him. God told me this. God told me that. And when you see folk who claim to be mouthpieces of God trying to expose one another, what God is allowing them to do is reveal their own hidden secrets. See? But anyway, I'm jumping off into a whole nother thing. Be patient, wait on God. But yeah, baby, you growing. You growing, you ain't losing. The devil ain't got nothing on you. Shake it off and think about all the positive things. See? A lot of times that's why you blessed. When you hate it and they so despising you, and let me tell you something, some people you've had good connections with, but when that one who really trying to destroy all your support system, get close to them and start whispering things in their ear, they ain't got no discernment. Somebody can go to church every Sunday, stay in church on Sunday, and listen to an old witch and can't even recognize when somebody's working witchcraft on their mind, and you will see they slowly pull themselves away from you. You don't need them in your life anyway. God ain't connecting you with no weak people. He got to connect you with other soldiers, other warriors, people who gonna really have your back. And sometimes it's a little, it's nervous. Sometimes you're nervous to really connect with people because you be like, oh Lord, if I connect with them, and every time I try to give myself over and something happens, or somebody come behind me and start ruining it. But the right people, they got eyes to see. They'll be praying for you before you even meet it, before you even really connect, probably, right? Because you don't never know what they've been through as well. And so they probably got their hearts guarded just as well as you got your hearts guarded. But over time, you will see maybe they keep showing up, or you will see something you keep drawing them back to your spirit where you may, you're praying for them, or you're showing them some type of support. Let time reveal all things. And God will connect you with solid connection, warriors. One that nobody won't just be able to run up in their ear and bewitch their mind. Why? Because now you're connected with different type of folk who got eyes to see just like you. Not perfect, though. Not perfect. Don't look for people to be perfect. Look for the love and the righteousness in their heart. See? A heart of love ain't gonna let evil creep into it like that. A heart of love gonna seek to understand and communicate. There'll be a level of communication that you probably never had before. See, when somebody don't mean you know well, you ain't gonna be able to communicate with them right. Every least little thing you say, it irritating them. They getting mad. They can see you work so much, or they can see you deal with a high level of stress. Maybe you have a job where you deal with a high level of stress. You get somebody come around you, they be coming around you and so impatient and nasty towards you, right? But they hide that part of themselves. They don't mean you no well. And when you ain't never had nobody really to love you and understand you, and you've kept yourself, you ain't went out here and started being so promiscuous. And even if you did, you corrected those ways if you did, but if you've been somebody who's guarded most of your life, when you meet people, it may not be easy for you to let your guards down initially. You'd have to test the spirit. But when you meet the right people that can love you and understand you, you ain't gonna never go back to them dark places and allow them people who tried to break you to have access to you no more. Because real is very rare. And it's a gift When God gifts you with a good person, you cherish them. You be patient with them. Because I tell you one thing, when I meet people who are impatient and your nastiness leash out on me, I will slowly pull myself right away from you, baby, because I don't deserve that. I love me now, and I don't feel bad about it. And I won't tolerate disrespect. I won't. And you shouldn't either. So anyway, that's just my little 2 cents. Be encouraged. God has favored you. The favor of the Lord. The favor of the Lord is upon me. In my hands, I have more than enough. And you're going to keep multiplying. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me. Oh, I messed it up. Surely goodness and mercy is following me, and my God shall supply every one of my needs. Give him the praise. Every time I turn around, blessings on blessings. Shout out to Brother Anthony, right? Who made that song? Shout out to you. I think I got your name right. If I didn't, charge it to my head, not my heart. But anyway, you're going to keep being blessed, baby. God favors you. Yeah. God favors you. Don't worry about them who despise you, who hate to see a smile on your face, who sit back and secretly talk about you. Stay away from them witches who keep trying to put witchcraft on your mind, who speak against your mental. Some of the people that speak against your mind, they got mental health issues. Especially if you're looking at medical records, look at the facts sometimes. People sometimes will try to label you to be what they are. Stay away from them. Stay away from them. Put up guards to your life. You know, and give yourself a pat on your back. If you made it this far in life and you ain't broke yet, you still got your sound mind. You know, in this life, I've never had any type of professional counseling, and I'm not opposed to it. But these days, you got to test the spirit of some of these counselors these days. You know, you got to test the spirit. But I'm not opposed to it either. But I give God all the glory, all the honor, that I can be of my sound mind and never had any type of professional help or guidance. It was only God holding my hand all this time. Don't you know some people commit suicide? Don't you know some people, the demons of those folk from their childhood drive them mad, and they never have nobody to understand them, you know? There was a lot of folk that didn't understand DMX. I used to always pray for him. Don't you know DMX dealt with a spirit of rejection his whole life? And he tried to seek counsel. He tried to open himself up from somebody that I saw. Just used him as a publicity to exploit his weaknesses, triggered him. And when he lashed out, it was the pain, making him feel that same pain, childhood pain of rejection. That's what he's been battling with, the demons of rejection. How do you deal with that? And you have now become a celebrity, a star. And no one can speak to the trauma in your soul. No one can help you distinguish between these demonic forces. Why? Because the world don't always understand spirituality. For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities. So when you're surrounded by the street and brothers that may love you, but they don't understand, what is it, bro? I love you. What is it? He don't even have all the words to put behind it. You see, the church failed our brother. And then you get these fake pastors who want to close the kingdom of heaven on people. Tell him don't, like the fake pastor, I'm not even going to call his name. He don't have no spiritual authority. He quote the scriptures from Genesis to Revelation. But all he is a fake man who does not have the Spirit of God. Want to close the kingdom of heaven on Snoop Dogg because Snoop Dogg wanted to make a gospel album. Snoop, make that gospel album. Don't you hold back on it. And after you make that and put that out, make another one. Let your light so shine. Let God use you while you're in this earth. You know? Look at DMX song. What is it? Is it the one? I'm slipping, I'm falling, I can't get up. Look at that video when you get a chance. You see him walked in from school. He had a good report from school, and he went to give the report to his mom, and she just pushed him to the side. And he was down. He was telling his story right before us. You see? Childhood trauma. Look at what Kirk Franklin went through. Rejection. You see? When you are rejected, God will favor you. But the world don't always understand what it sees. People who's supposed to be in the church, they're so quick to judge unrighteously. You have all these pastors lifting themselves up on celebrity names and stuff, talking about their problem, talking about these people trauma because they're in the limelight now, when they should have been the one praying. I spent many years behind the scenes praying for a lot of folk that I've never met and probably never will meet, and I'm going to keep on praying. I'm going to keep on praying. Pray against the evil that want to come and oppose them because they grow jealous of these people's success. If they don't really know God like that, but they know God, know the pain that they went through, don't you think God could have shut certain doors down? And I know it's a lot of evil. The enemy can open doors for people too. But don't you think the church, people who really supposed to be in the church, should be praying for people and not condemning people who are still walking and breathing in the earth to hell? Look at the lady who the sinner who come, they want to stone her. Jesus didn't condemn her. He didn't make her feel bad for her sins. In fact, he began to say, he without sin cast the first stone. He showed love to that woman. And even when you can see certain things about people, I see a lot. I also see the ignorance and religious spirit on people. When people think they know something about you, but they only really going off of some rumors they heard, and they pretending like God showed them something. I've had to walk that walk too. And see, when you really know who you are, and you can walk a walk, and you know what people saying about you, you know they laugh, you know they spreading rumors, you don't have to defend yourself. Let them think what they want to think. See, I'm at a place I don't care no more. I don't try to make people look at me in a certain way. I know who I am. And I know I'm imperfect. If I was to make mistakes, I wouldn't be ashamed of those mistakes. That's me walking in my authenticity. You see? But you have a lot of folk. They pull themselves up, these fake people who act like they got the Spirit of God in them. And all they really want, they want to keep growing. They want to keep being they want to grow and becoming very influential. I call them competitors to God. Because they should have been trying to grow internally, using the names of celebrities to pull themselves up. And these are just human beings who need prayer just like all of us, imperfect human beings. But you see how God turned a lot of people's childhood trauma, the pain that people went through. He blessed them with great riches and wealth in the earth, you know. And they still have a lot of growing to do, healing to do, right? But the world, the church failed DMX. He carried pain from his childhood all the way to his latter days. He had pain in his heart. That's why he didn't know how to release a lot of it. You can turn to sex, you pick up more demons. You turn to drugs, you pick up more demons. You turn to the soothsayers and psychics to find out things, you pick up more demons. See, it takes somebody who really connected with God. And even somebody who connected with God, don't expect no human being to be perfect. But respect and honor those who come into your life and they're loyal to you. And cherish those that got the light of Christ. And they know how to help you get a prayer through. They know how to pray these demonic souls off of you, these spirits off of you. They know how to help open your eyes to spiritual warfare. Cherish them. Witches and warlocks are real. And they're competing. They're trying to compete with celebrities. They want to be famous. That's why you can get a false prophet, who I myself was foolish enough to support at one point, can try to pull themselves up. Go after one of the biggest celebrities and pull themselves up. And I was ignorant to the strategy of this individual. But God had to open my eyes by allowing things to manifest that shocked me. But he revealed it to me. And then I corrected myself. I withdrew my support. But anyway, God will favor you, people of God. I talk about so much thing. I ain't going to cut or edit nothing. I'm going to let it stay. You know, a lot of people ain't going to like it when you speak your mind like how I be speaking, but it's okay. I wasn't born in this world with people liking me. So when you grow up and you grow through that and you make it through, hey, you know, I was born into hate and rejection, you know. But look at me, I'm still here. I'm proud of myself. Put myself through college. Was an honor student. Nobody showed up when I got inducted into the School of Honors. Graduated from high school, you know. Never brought any shame and grief to my parents. Even though my father, he was never there. But my mother, you know, she was there. Never brought any shame, any grief, you know. Worked my whole life since I was 13 years old. Never was a person to beg anybody for nothing. Never lived a life of whoring around. I lost my virginity, though, after I went to college, pledged into my secret society. You know, that spirit came upon me after I pledged into that. That's a whole nother thing I've talked about before. I had to renounce it. I pledged into many different secret societies. God called me out of them. I kept hearing his voice. That's not how I'm going to give you brothers and sisters. I just wanted love. I just wanted to be surrounded by people to love me. I never felt love. And so I try to be what I never had. I am love. I never had love my whole life. And some people, they'll try to make you believe what they're doing, their little efforts are love. It's not love. Love is an action word. And I think I turned out all right, right? Some people, they die to their vices because they're trying to fight that childhood trauma and pain. And many of you, you've actually overcome it. Give yourself a pat on the back. Our brother DMX, may his soul rest in peace. The vices led him to a premature death, but his heart was pure. He had a pure heart. A lot of pain was in his heart. And see, a lot of times these religious folk, they'll judge you for how you express that pain because they don't have eyes to see. Right? He expressed a lot of his pain, his sins, his errors, right through his talent, his gift. And that's what made room for him. Rest in peace, brother. I didn't mean to make this a doggone tribute to my brother, but that's what kept coming to my spirit while I was talking. Y'all have a blessed day. God will favor you now. He's already favored you. And a lot of people are envious at that favor that's on the inside of you. That's not your problem. You can't control that. You didn't do nothing to deserve that. You didn't do nothing to be rejected. You didn't do anything to deserve to be rejected. Right? You didn't ask to come into this world, but God sent you here. He sent you here. So keep walking. And as you're walking, you're learning your purpose. You're learning. You may not know all the answers, but keep walking uprightly. And don't never stop studying that word now. Read that word every day. Let it get in your spirit. You know, that word is what soothes the spirit. And spend intimate time with God. You'll be all right. God loves you. And if nobody told you that they love you today, then you already know your little country bunking sister loves you. And I know this message was all over the place, but I hope it encouraged somebody, because I ain't about to edit or delete nothing. I hope what I was trying to say got conveyed and it wasn't really confusing or whatever. But y'all have a blessed day. We know that the blood of Jesus is the only blood that has power.